Okay, Oscar fans, we know the PGA winner, we know the Oscar nominees. We don't know BAFTA yet, or DGA, or SAG, but maybe these guys do. We're here with the great Michael Musto of New Now Next, and with Jeff Wells of Hollywood Elsewhere. I'm Tom O'Neill of Gold Derby. Michael, you first. What is going to win Best Picture at the Oscars as of now?
First of all, Tom, let me say I'm going to repeat a lot of the things I said in the last video because we had no video of me and the audio was terrible. Okay. Yes. That being said, it doesn't matter who SAG is going to pick because they're not picking Best Picture. They're picking Best Ensemble. They picked Hidden Figures. That was lovely. It had no chance to win the Oscar for Best Picture. So, and they didn't even nominate Green Book and Roma for Best Ensemble. I'm going obviously with Roma at this point. With
what do you mean obviously?
Green Book on the outside. Green Book on the outside is a close runner-up. Roma has been promoted like crazy for an 18-hour Mexican black and white movie. It's massive promotion. I'm waiting for my pillow with Cameron's autograph on it.
Oh, I know. I got the pillow too.
And also all the baloney of people are going to turn against it because it's Netflix and Netflix is ruining movies. That's just baloney. And it also has to do with a beloved housekeeper. She's sort of a Mexican Mary Poppins. So she doesn't sing. And also, they do not get political with their speeches. If you notice, Tom, and Roma's winning a lot of stuff. They don't get overtly political. They don't want to make that many waves. However, Cuarón specifically says in every speech, this is a movie about tearing down walls. Get it? As Trump is trying to build a wall against innocent Mexicans, this movie is about saying, hey, we're people and we're damn fine people.
Jeff, pile on here. What do you say?
I completely agree with Michael. I think it's definitely Roma with Green Book on the outside. I think there might be some lingering sympathy for Green Book because people feel badly for it because it's been so relentlessly attacked by the politically correct tyrants who've been everywhere. Pieces on Green Book. The producers since the Oscar nominations, and one in the New York Times by Wesley, and one other in the, Jesus, I just forgot what the other one. Anyway, there's two of them. But I think it's definitely Green Book. I mean, I definitely Roma. And I think that Michael's comment about the 18-hour Roma, basically a lot of people are, as you know, watching these films on disc, and they're going, or streaming or whatever. And I think most of them are going to watch the first 20 to 30 minutes, realize that it's all about Yalitza Aparicio cleaning the home. They're going to turn it off and vote for Roma anyway because they feel that they should.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think there's another factor here. I have Roma up front too, although I'm being a fickle Oscarologist, I am totally leaving my options open to switch to BlacKkKlansman the minute, assuming he wins DGA and assuming, let's say, BlacKkKlansman wins SAG Ensemble, which does matter, by the way. I don't care what Michael says. There is a historic parallel between winning Best Picture and at least getting nominated at SAG, and the only two major contenders that have a potential of winning Best Picture that are nominated for SAG Ensemble are Star is Born and BlacKkKlansman. So anyway, I leave for BlacKkKlansman as an option to come in here. But here's my argument, which is that it's probably everybody's number 2 vote if it's not your number 1. If you're going to hold on to Green Book defiantly, Roma is that wonderful it's the least offensive and the most artistically praised of them. So it's probably your number 2 vote. And since they started ranking these nominees for the winner award, it often seems like the number 2 probably pops through.
Did you suggest?
Let me brace you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tom, let me brace you and all your Gold Derbyites about Star is Born. It's going to win Best Song. Okay. It might win a Best Sound. It might win a Sound Award as well.
Knock it off!
Congratulations, all of you have Bradley Cooper winning director. He wasn't nominated.
the great Jack Matthews of Gold Derby fame, and of course USA Today, LA Times, New York Daily News. He's been on this Oscar beat longer than all 3 of us combined. And Jack says Black Panther is going to win Best Picture, and he says Lady Gaga is going to win Best Actress. And by the way, it was Jack who, the year of Birdman versus Boyhood, was saying Birdman back in October, and was yelling at the rest of us, if we were listening or not, saying, "You idiots, it's Birdman." Now, granted, Jack may very well switch his mind if DGA goes for Cuarón, etc. But there are knowledgeable people out there who say you're wrong.
Well, a stop clock is right twice a day. As for let's talk about Gaga winning. Here are Glenn Close's competitors: a singer making her first movie, a non-actress Indigenous woman making her first movie, first anything, a comic actor, Melissa McCarthy, doing pretty much her first dramatic role, except for St. Vincent. Olivia Colman. Glenn Close can boil Olivia Colman's rabbits. Please quote me on that. Glenn Close is a person of prestige, a long-running career. Her Golden Globe speech was brilliant. It was the only real emotion of the whole night. She also established herself as someone representing women who have lived in the shadows of their men, when it's the women who have accomplished everything. And you can mute me right now if you haven't seen The Wife. That's what the movie is about. Glenn Close plays a character who deserves the award that someone else gets. And she's getting it this time, Tom. There is no chance for Lady Gaga.
Oh,
Michael, can I ask Michael something? Michael, there was no real current or buzz for Glenn Close throughout the early part of the fall until really December. Then all of a sudden, the floodgates opened and everybody started to realize that she really had a lot of headwind. I just wasn't feeling it from a lot of people. Were you?
I agree with you, but that's how these things happen. It's all about the mood of the moment. Someone has to be the brave first person to say, hey, you know what? She's the best. The Golden Globes were that person. And then her speech cemented it. Her speech was a brilliant performance in itself. And it's what she and her role represent and her entire career represents. Her whole career has been in the shadow of Meryl Streep. The last time Glenn was nominated was for Albert Nobbs. That's when Meryl won for Iron Lady. It's time for Glenn to get the freaking Oscar, and everyone now knows it, and they're not afraid to say it anymore.
You know, Glenn has a famous comment where because there's a strong physical resemblance, of course, between her and Meryl Streep, too. And Glenn Close is fond of saying, I'm often confused with Meryl Streep, except on Oscar night. Go ahead. What do you have to say about this?
I just wanted to ask, are we Cooper? Because I think his loss is really something worth discussing. I just don't, okay. I'd like to know what Michael thinks. I mean, I think basically he killed himself with that New York Times interview. What do you guys think?
I didn't hear who you're talking about.
Bradley Cooper's losing, not getting best director nomination from the Oscars. And I think it happened because of that kind of pissy New York Times Magazine interview that he gave like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. Did you guys read that?
I think they went kind of snobby and they said, oh, we're going to put in Cold War. Nobody saw that coming. Also, let's not forget, who was the last actor that didn't get nominated? Everyone thought was going to get nominated for directing. Ben Affleck. For Argo, yeah. And there was a huge uproar. I don't think there's a huge uproar for Bradley. But I also think they knew he's going to get nominated for actor. It's going to be up for picture. So it wasn't that much of a gigantic snub to leave him out of director. And they went arty. They went super arty, except for Sam Elliott and a few nominations like that, where they're like, hey, we just like regular people too.
I went to a party for Cold War about a week and a half ago, about 2 days before the deadline. And I was really, I mean, a lot of interesting people were at this party. And I was really surprised that Paul Bukowski suddenly was a Best Director nominee. I think it's wonderful, but I didn't see that coming at all.
Well, and who else did they snub? They snubbed Peter Farrelly. Now, what was that about? Green Book is considered a front runner. He got a DGA nomination. Was it him pulling out his wee-wee on the movie sets?
Yeah,
I don't think
that's what I presume it was. No, that's why he didn't get the votes. That's why he lost some votes. I'm guessing.
No, it's the snobism factor that Michael's saying. They're snobs. They're not going to let their worst nightmare is the actor trying to direct their movie. So the hardest thing for an actor turned director like Ben Affleck or like Bradley is to get the nomination. Look, they did it to Cuarón in editing. They don't want directors editing their movies, so he didn't get nominated for editing. That said, the cinematographers did let Cuarón in, even though he already shot his own movie. Remember, nominations are determined by peer group, and they don't want someone taking their job. I think that's what that's all about.
I also think the Peter Farrelly taking out his privates on movie sets reminded them that he came from a lowbrow background, that he did movies like There's Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber. Don't you think? And also, maybe the message here from him and Bradley Cooper not being nominated, you don't get nominated for your first time at bat. This is Peter Farrelly's first prestige film. It's Bradley Cooper's first directing job. We'll give it to you next time. You're going to have to wait it out. The question is, can either of those two films win Best Picture without a director nomination? The last picture to do that was Argo.
And before that, Driving Miss Daisy, and that's what Green Book looks like, of course, but with the racist woman. Let me give you just go with me on this assumption, just for the sake of acknowledging this is a derby where things change. Jack Matthews' argument for Lady Gaga winning the Oscar is as follows. She embodies the SAG dream. Now, in other words, she's going to win SAG first, and I have her out front. I think that's logical. If you just think of the whole fantasy of the average SAG member, it's to cross over into films in a big way. Gaga did it. That's kind of like the year of Jennifer Lawrence when she was declared Queen of Hollywood for Silver Linings Playbook. It was like a crown. She had Hunger Games that year. It was the thing. That's kind of like what might happen to Lady Gaga. And I could see her easily and Rami winning SAG, and then that giving them the momentum to take the two Oscars. Jeff, you first. What do you say to Jack's idea that the whole idea, even though Gaga's a superstar already, of course, the whole idea of A Star Is Born is what is being played out in effect in Gaga's career, and it's a spectacular.
I still, I understand what Jack is saying, and I wouldn't be completely shocked. I would be disappointed, but I would be completely shocked if she wound up winning. I think that anyone who has paid any attention to her really interesting Las Vegas show, which she's now involved in, would probably come away pretty impressed with her, and she did an excellent job. I don't have no issue at all with her. I just don't think that she warrants kicking Glenn Close out at the summit of the climax of her career after 6 previous nominations. I just don't think that narrative can be.
2.5 weeks ago, you thought differently, Jeff. We all did before the.
My mind. I changed. That's my option.
I know. Okay. Michael,
I love Lady Gaga. I've been a fan from the beginning. I think she did a terrific job. However, the fact that she's playing a version of herself doesn't help her, because they say, "Oh, she's just playing herself." Barbra Streisand.
So is Glenn Close just playing herself? That's the problem. She's not embodying.
It's her 7th nomination. Last time she played a man. She has played all kinds of roles. There's something called a Lifetime Award.
You're just going through denial. You're just going through denial.
Moore won.
You're in love with your own predictions, but you're not going to give it.
Comparison. There is no comparison to Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, I'm going to play this video and make you eat all of these words when Gaga wins SAG and you officially change your prediction.
All right, let's saying when I win the Pulitzer, my mother could have decided I'm okay. This has no comparison to Jennifer Lawrence. When she won, it was a way of anointing her. And first of all, she played a part very outside herself, very dark. And it was a way of saying, you're the new queen of Hollywood. I don't think anyone is saying Lady Gaga's the new queen of Hollywood. She's a singer who made one movie.
Yeah.
That's why you come on.
Yeah.
She
very nice card for her.
All right, let's
look. She's going to have a wonderful, diversified career, but she's going to do a lot of music as well as movies. Mm-hmm. Jennifer Lawrence really was anointed at that point, and what happened, by the way?
She started just doing all those superhero movies. Jeff, take us through supporting actor who wins there and why, as of where we stand now.
You're asking me which supporting actor will win, and I will tell
so
you,
in other words, will it be?
I don't think there's been any stopping Mahershala. He's been it from the get-go. I'd like to see Richard E. Grant win because I loved him in that role more than just about anybody else. But I just can't see the Mahershala thing stopping because, if anything, as I said during our last chat, the Vallelonga tweet that referred to Muslims, et cetera, I just think that people will feel even more sympathy, and that if those who were turned off by the implications of racism in Vallelonga's tweet will want to support Mahershala. So I think he's really, I don't think there's any ambiguity about this. He's definitely going to win. I'm looking at a blank expression on your face, Tom, but
I'm waiting for Michael to pipe in here so then I can blast you both. But go ahead, Mike. Next.
I agree. Richard E. Grant was terrific. He doesn't get that Oscar moment. Mahershala has that moment where he leaves the car angry at Viggo and says, "I don't fit in with my people. I don't fit in with your people. Where does that put me?" And
exactly.
he really knocks that out of the park. Also, for any complaints about the movie, it's about a white hero of racism. I don't really believe that. All the white people in the movie are horrible. And even Tony Lip, is initially racist. He has to come around. It's really about two guys influencing each other, and they have to give Green Book something.
And I've said
no, they don't.
It's not white savior. It's not Magic Negro. It's a parent-child relationship movie. Mahershala is the parent. Tony Lip is the child who's almost completely uneducated, and he just needs to learn a little bit about refinement and decency and humanitarian. That's what it basically is, the dynamic. The other two charges or slanders against this film, Magic Negro or White Savior, are complete bullshit.
But there is one good argument. Don never would have befriended an employee. This is completely fictional. Sort of like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, let's talk about that, because Joyce Eng, our senior editor at Gold Derby, who frequently beats all three of us in our prediction scores, she's got a wonderful theory, and she says that the actors aren't hurt when there are controversies like the Bohemian Rhapsody Green Book thing. The Academy automatically forgives the actor, even in Mahershala's case, where his character itself is being criticized for the liberties perhaps taken with it in real life. And in the case of Rami Malek with Bohemian Rhapsody, all the hubbub around that film, in Joyce's view, she said they're bulletproof and may win that way. Let's just, what do you think of that theory? And why do you think, if she's right, that's true?
I agree with that, because the actors didn't write the movie. The actors didn't hire Bryan Singer. The actors didn't concoct a fictionalized plot. They got a call saying, "You want to be in this movie? We'll pay you blank, blank, blank." And they're like, "Sure, I'd love to." They are not penalized. The movie itself could be penalized in other categories.
Why would Graham King be penalized? Why would the producer? Why would anybody be penalized for Bryan Singer's alleged misdeeds? I just don't think anybody would even think about that. It's just, if they want to penalize Bryan Singer in some way, shape, or form, okay, but nobody else should incur that burden, that debt, that guilt.
Well, the way they're handling it, it's a movie that's winning awards, but nobody directed it. We're never going to mention that it had a director. Yeah. And some people I've talked to feel that's the right way to go, because it doesn't stir the pot and doesn't remind people of the whole backstory. I think it's weird to not have a director for a movie.
Yes.
A director friend, when it was announced, he said, that Bryan Singer, who is basically, he was using the story of Freddie Mercury to talk about himself in a way. It was kind of a mea culpa. He was projecting his own sexual history, his insatiable sexual predilections, and that he is in Freddie Mercury, and therefore it was especially odd to this director friend of mine that they didn't at least acknowledge on the Golden Globe show that he had directed it. I mean, to just say that there is no director, given the current between Freddie Mercury and Bryan Singer, was especially odd to him. And I saw his point.
I don't think we'll ever fathom
that long ago
behind the scenes there, because I think you were with me that night, Jeff, weren't you, at the on the Fox lot in the Zanuck Theater when they first showed Bohemian Rhapsody to a Hollywood crowd, and Scott Manson and Thompson and Pete Hammond all was there. And if you stuck around for the Q&A afterwards, Rami said, I was basically a pill. I demanded retake after retake after retake because I'm a perfectionist, he was saying. Wow. And of course, the minute you hear that from actors, oh God, the poor director. In this case, there is no director. And the fallout was to some degree between them, of course. knows who was right there. Best Supporting Actress, Michael, who wins and why?
Now, bear in mind, Tom, when the SAG happens, I'm just going to switch to all the 4 people that they pick at the action.
Me too.
But as of now, I would say Regina King for Beale Street.
Who's not nominated for SAG?
Oh, so it's definitely not going to be her. For SAG.
I tried asking you guys.
I think Amy Adams will get the SAG.
I'm sorry, but I think
Amy Adams will get the SAG. But you know what? For the Oscars, I've said this before, I don't think they're going to do 2 makeup awards. In other words, it's Glenn's 7th nomination, it's Amy's 6th. They're not going to do 2 actresses in one night. We owe this to you. They'll do 1. They don't even want to do 1. They hate being sentimental nowadays. Amy was good in Vice. I didn't think she was extraordinary. Did you?
No, not at all.
Is there any chance that Amy Adams gets lucky? And because a lot of people do like Vice, they certainly. I know that she doesn't have as much of a standout, but I don't think Regina King really has. Excuse me, Regina King has a huge moment in Beale Street.
Oh, she has that one. When she confronts the mother,
the woman in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I
would love it if there was actually a Roma sweep and Marina de Tavira wins supporting. How would that be?
That would be amazing. I wasn't expecting
the shock. Nobody did. Nobody had her on the radar, and she is a worthy nominee. I would be very happy if she won. I think the 2 women from The Favorite are obviously. It's a possible case of category fraud. They're put in supporting. Are they really supporting?
They're leads.
Yeah,
Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are leads, I think. Anyway, they canceled each other out. I'm sorry.
The odds-on favorite to win BAFTA is Rachel Weisz in support. So, and Pete Hammond has Rachel Weisz winning the Oscar, and I did a couple weeks ago.
Did he explain why he thinks that's going to happen?
Yeah, well, I think he thought the same thing I did. And by the way, our friend Jack Matthews, and I don't know where Jack's prediction is now, but a few days ago it was Rachel Weisz. And I think that the argument there is that she's the deliciously evil role. And if you like winking monsters in movies now, and Oscar voters love them. Look at Alice last year, Christoph Waltz, Javier Bardem, etc. Heath Ledger. They love the winking devil, and so in a way, she's the winking devil.
Okay, all right.
Well, she's British, so she's going to win the BAFTA because she's British. Let's face it.
I know, and the favorite should sweep that, but Amy Adams could win there. I mean, Amy Adams could win. Normally, we have some kind of agreement here, and Regina King is shut out of BAFTA and of SAG, so we're not going to have those tea leaves. That said, Regina King has won 3 of her 4 last Emmy nominations. Most of those were upsets, and she won 4, but she was up against Nicole Kidman in that HBO thing. So there is this kind of Regina King rumbling volcano at award shows that we have to take seriously because she's always winning these peer group awards. So she's beloved within the industry.
I just was touched more by Amy Adams' great scene in Vice when she reads the riot act to her husband Dick Cheney and say, "Is this what our life is going to be like, living in a trailer park? Have I picked the wrong horse here? You have got to get your act together." That was a really great scene. I've seen that film 3 times now, and I was more affected by it than Regina King's moment in Puerto Rico, which was good. I just didn't think it was as good. That's all.
The whole movie of Vice, I kept thinking she's Lady Macbeth, duh. Yeah. And sure enough, they came out with the big Shakespeare parody scene in the middle of the film. I love when she's telling him, the vice president, it really is not an important enough job for you to even take. So he has to kind of expand the role of vice president to even please Lady Macbeth, his wife. Who the hell knows, Tom and Jeff? As for best actor, let's talk about Christian Bale. To me, I'm the only one who has the nerve to say it's a one-note performance. It's a brilliant impersonation. He whispers the whole part, even when he's having a heart attack. I should go to the house. Look alive. But I know the whole point of the movie is he's inscrutable. We maybe shouldn't have even made this movie because we don't know anything about him or what makes him tick. But in a way, that's the genius of the movie, that they sort of pulled it off anyway. But is that an Oscar performance? Is that Gary Oldman? I don't think so. I think Gary Oldman had more peaks and valleys in his performance. Remember last year, Gary Oldman?
That's why I think Rami's going to win. I think they're the people. They're more the voters and the Hollywood community are just more emotionally invested in Rami because it's all out there and it's all this, you know, grand theatrical grandstanding in a concert performance, which is terrific. And but yeah, I have the same kind of problem with Christian Bale. But I think, Michael, it's just because he's Christian Bale. I mean, when he walks up to the podium at these award shows, like he did Critics' Choice and the Globes, the audience goes crazy. You know, he's skinny again. They love that, you know, and they.
And he has the nerve to tell the truth about the movie. When I went to a Q&A about Vice, Adam McKay said, "We approached all the characters with empathy." And I was like, what? When I talked to Rami Malek about Freddie Mercury, I said, well, what do you feel about how he was in the closet? Isn't that awful? He goes, oh, that was part of his authenticity. No one in a biopic, even if they're trashing them in a movie, will tell you the truth when they're promoting the movie. And I love Christian Bale saying he was inspired by Satan. He told the truth.
Okay, final thoughts, Michael. What do you think about this race now? No hosts, the ceremony, just what's a final Oscar thought from you?
The no host thing is pitiful. It's throwing their hands up and saying, we couldn't find anybody famous who was willing to do this potential career suicide job, who wasn't racist or homophobic. So we're going to have nobody. I think that's
the bottom line. Yeah.
I think even the worst host is better than no host.
Everybody knows that deep down or somewhere in their Twitter feed from 10 years ago or 5 years ago, there's something that they could be hoisted by, and they don't want to go through that horror. So that's why they can't get anybody, I think, because of the climate today.
Oh, I think
yes.
But I also think it's more than all of the above. I think it's the fact that we're now in a culture of kind of group hate watching something like those live musicals like Grease or something. America just tunes into hate. And I thought McFarlane and Neil Paris were great Oscar hosts. They had some, you know, Seth had his boobies thing, which was stupid and tasteless. And Neil's magic trick went on too long, especially the final annoying one. But that said, I thought they were really good, but they got crucified. So if I were considered seriously an international star looking at that job, no way. You risk everything and gain a little. It's like Michael.
I love when people come to me, oh, why aren't you hosting the Oscars? And I'm like, they're going for someone a little more famous.
I think you should have the job, Michael. You have all the chops. You know the Oscars. You're hilarious. You're secretly evil. You're Satan on the outside. You want to perform, but inside, of course, you're Betty Crocker and all lovely, sweet goo.
Just don't look at my old tweets. Just don't look at my old tweets.
Thank you both. We will regroup after SAG and DG.
One quick thing, Tom. Can I just ask one thing before we go? The best foreign language film, as you know, Roma, which is also up for Best Picture, is also up for Best Foreign Language. I feel that the fair and just thing would be for Cold War to be given the Best Foreign Language Oscar. Do you sense that people are going to give Roma both the foreign language as well as the Best Picture, Michael?
They might split it that way. They could.
I think it would be absurd to say Cold War is the best foreign film, but Roma is the best of any kind of film. That is too obvious about the illogic behind the Oscars. If it's the best movie of the year of any kind, it has to also be the best foreign.
Okay. Well,
I know that they're dying to give Cold War something to prove what art house snobs they are.
Can I ask
but also it's Amazon and Roma is Netflix, and this is the future of media, and the Oscars are bravely acknowledging that, because up till now, the only thing Netflix won at the Oscars was Icarus, right? The documentary thing. They're really spending tens of millions of dollars, I assume, just out there like mad warriors to win this thing, to plant a flag in the media landscape too, to say, you know, we belong here. Yeah, they straddle the Oscars and the Emmys, and there's complaints about, well, what is it? What is the streaming service? Right. Is it a film media platform, or is it TV? And they need to make a statement at the Oscars, and I think that's a large part of behind this Roma thing.
Can I ask Michael?
I think Cold War would win foreign any other year. I think it would have won any other year, but not against Roma.
Michael, can I ask you one thing? Can you please explain, is that the golden demon cat on the wall behind you? Is that something you painted? The one over on the other side.
It's a portrait of Jocelyn Wildenstein. Remember the Catwoman? The woman with the crazy surgery. She's a hero of mine.
Ah, that's wonderful. And over my shoulder is the Golden Globe for Best Drama Series, Dynasty, the Tony Award for Best Play on Broadway, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? That was the producer's Richard Bars. I bought it from Mrs. State. The Emmy Award for The Phil Silvers Show, Best Comedy Series, 1956 or 7, I forget. And Katharine Hepburn's Oscar nomination certificate for Suddenly Leonard.
And soon you'll have the Oscar for Glenn Close.
If she comes to one of my parties and I ask her to bring it, right? All right, let's reconvene on the other side of a few awards. And I want you to admit you were wrong now, okay?
All right.